Youngstown City Council Safety Committee meeting. And I am Anita Davis, chairperson of the committee for the day. Also present, if we go through the thing, and if I miss you, please shout out. Also present are Vice Chair Jimmy Hughes, Committee Member Basha Adamczak, I believe is here, Councilman Julius Olivers, Councilwoman Samantha Turner, Rick Deeks, our IT guru, Valencia Muir, our clerk, Jennifer Ossinger, excuse me, our assistant clerk, Guy Burney from CIRV Serve, and Chief Carl Davis. Did I miss anyone? I see Attorney Jeff Lemian is logging in as well. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Hearing that I didn't miss anyone, we'll proceed on after the roll call. We're going to go on to item number 2, new business. This is dealing with ordinances 21-180. Beg your pardon? Ordinance 21-186 and 21-190. Let's start with 21-186, and this is for the John Saul Campbell and Company, and I believe this is concerning Serve. So, Guy, if you want to talk about it, go ahead.
Yes, through the chair. This is just the contract concerning our marketing, branding, event planning, strategic planning, program development, and conference management in terms of marketing. So the same company we've been using to make sure that we can get things out, which is really important right now. I really like to have billboards and radio broadcast and commercials out concerning a lot of violence that we have going on, especially in social media. So that's what this contract is concerning.
And I'll start off with any questions from the committee first. From the committee members, anyone? Questions besides myself? Okay.
Can you see me?
Just shout out, Jimmy. Go ahead, Jimmy. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Hughes.
He's froze.
Hello?
Jimmy, is he frozen?
Yeah, he's frozen.
Okay. Jimmy, you're winking in and out.
If he can elaborate.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
On my end, it's fading in and out on you, Jimmy. What about anyone else? Can they hear Jimmy clearly?
It's fading in and out.
Jimmy, you're going, thank you, boss. Jimmy, you're going in and out still. Can you log off and come back in? You're okay. Okay.
Nothing.
Want to try that again, Jimmy? Okay. While we're waiting for Councilman Hughes to come back on, is there anyone else from the committee with a question?
If you can't hear me, go ahead and move on. That like I withdrew.
Jimmy, on my end, and it might just be my phone, I can't hear you clearly.
Through the chair, this is Jennifer, Councilwoman Davis. He's got a horrible connection. I'm probably going to remove him.
Yeah, I hear you. I have nothing.
Okay, well, we're gonna mute you because, and then if you want to try to come back in so that you can participate, but we can't hear you. Okay.
Okay. Then Basha, do you have anything?
I do, but you can go ahead and start.
Okay, well, Guy, I'm gonna start off with, we've used this company in the past, you said. For how long have we been using them?
I think this company was renamed, but it goes back to like 2013.
2013. And
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. And for this here, what exactly does it entail? I mean, you said marketing, but what kind of things besides the billboard?
So for instance, I don't know if you remember the just the billboards conferences. The newest project they're working on for us is a website that will allow returning citizens to access all of the jobs and opportunities in our city, because transportation, the virus has been crazy. So what we're doing is creating a site, basically like My Hope Conference, that will be utilized on the web all the time, so people have continual access to services, which is very important. So that's the kind of technology and marketing and branding that they work with. Also, when you've here, we produced radio ads, social media ads. They're the company that do all that.
And that's all included in that price?
Yeah, that's why I use them, because there's nothing even close to it. Councilman Davis, I wanted to do a video one time. This is what convinced me. I wanted to do a video to show some things, and they wanted to do a 7-minute clip for me, and I got people to bring in, it was $11,000. And so, those are the prices that firms cost, but because they've been working with us and they believe in this, it's really, it's a lot of love that's involved. So they do all of those things for that amount of money each year. They've been doing it a very long time.
Okay. Okay, Basha, before I go to the other members of council, anything?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. Julius or Samantha?
Yeah, through the chair, I guess you can't see me. I have my hand up.
Okay, go ahead.
If I ever freeze up like Jimmy and I look like that, let me know somehow. But Guy, I don't really I don't know if it's targeted, but I don't particularly see the advertisement that Serve does. Is it only a certain type of advertisement that goes out to certain, avenues or certain entities, or is it only the advertisement or marketing campaigns for specific details or specific programs that you're doing at the time?
Yeah, so for this year, the problem is they have no contract, Councilman Oliver, so I haven't been able to do anything. And so that's the reason you haven't seen anything lately, because we haven't had any contract set up.
Okay, thank you.
Julius?
You're welcome.
To the chair.
Yes, Samantha.
Yes, I was just gonna ask, in the past, have you received the impact report? I know in marketing and branding firms, usually quarterly or monthly, or if they produce an ad for you, they'll give you an impact report showing how many reaches, how many people it has reached. And I just wanted to know if they've given you that and if you could share some of that information with us.
Guy?
They've given it to me, especially, yes, in social media, and when we do radio ads and billboards, yes, I get those. I don't have them in front of me, Councilman Turner, but I can certainly pull some of those past ones up for you.
Thank you.
Would you like them, Samantha, emailed to you before our next meeting, regular meeting?
Yes, that would
Okay.
be great if you could share those with this guy.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Jimmy, you're back. Did you had no questions, I believe.
I do I look, am I frozen like Frankenstein's The Creation or no?
I'm on the phone, Jimmy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're clear. Go ahead.
I have no question.
Okay.
The only question I was trying to get is what direction the bill. Can you hear me?
Is this pertaining to the marketing?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Is what I'm trying to get a clarification for. I just talking about the billboard. You mentioned it I don't know if he just gave us any information. What's his thing? He's using billboards to put his message out?
Guy?
Sorry, can you repeat his question? I can't hear him well at all. So I
Jimmy,
didn't hear
could
what he
you-
said.
Okay, Jimmy,
I heard
could you
something
repeat?
about
Billboard.
I didn't hear the question.
Jimmy, if you could repeat
I
that?
don't have one. That's good.
All right, thank you. We're going.
Yeah,
I think-
I'm having a hard time with my phone, obviously.
Yes. Not, no, okay.
I just trying to
Absolutely
get some clarification on the billboard.
Did you want to know the placement of the billboards? You're frozen
think-
again.
If through the chair, Councilman Davis,
Go ahead, Guy.
maybe I can provide some clarification. I'm not sure if it's question, but I'll try to provide some clarification. Again, once the contract is approved, we do want to do a billboard.
If I can,
Jimmy,
if I
Jim-
can
Jim,
draw the question.
am I frozen?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay. It looks like Guy is frozen though on my end.
No, I'm here.
Okay, there you
I
go.
thought-
There you go.
I
Okay.
just, I heard him talking, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Right,
Okay.
I did too. All right, we're gonna, if there are no other questions about ordinance 21-186.
Chairwoman, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
'cause I don't know if you can see me. I do have a question. Well, first I want to say, I think at first, Jimmy was talking about the billboards in terms of what direction, like they're going towards, like what the campaign is going to be in Target. That's what it sounded like. But my question is specifically with this marketing firm, I guess, you know, the outreach and marketing that we're doing, who's our target audience? Like, are we targeting like our students here in the Youngstown City schools? Are we targeting, is this more for like adults to, you know, curb that, you know, violence, or who's more so the audience for this?
Guy?
Yes, Councilman, I'm Zach. Hello. First of all, the target is kind of, it's going to be broad, because what I do is we handle each three areas. So we look at prevention, and then we look at intervention as well. So yes, there will be some targets for young people, which is a lot, you know, maybe social media, it may be flyers to invite them to programs that we're having. You know, that's really important. The last thing we did was we did a lot of information out for the MKU Basketball League down at the Cavelli Center. So those are the things that we target. Another big target for this year is going to be billboards to activate mentors in our community. We have to have mentors. So these billboards will go up and tell people, this is where you call to be a mentor, or this is where you. So I think that's a big push that to do with billboards this year, because we got to touch bodies. So that's a huge push for us this coming summer and through the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim, did that answer your question? Okay. All righty, then,
Yes.
okay, thank you. If there are no more questions about 21-186, excuse me, we're gonna move on to.
All right, I have one more question. I don't
Samantha.
have my video on. Yes, just a point of clarity. Guy, do you say they produce the ads as well as distribute the information, or is that production house and they do everything?
I'm sorry, you
Guy?
broke up, but they do the ads and then they make all the copies, and that's why I said the pricing is amazing, because they do the printing for me, the posters, everything, Samantha. So again, it's a labor of love. So okay.
Okay.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Okay. All righty, any other questions on 21-186? Shout out. If no one shouts out, we're gonna move on to Ordinance 21-190, increasing the appropriation by 114,000 to the police project reserve. Okay, and Guy, if you want to talk towards that.
Yes, again, and please, I just want to answer questions because it's not, the information has not changed from January. We've been talking about this, so I really want to answer your question if you would allow me to.
Okay, we're going to start with what this increase, what will it gain us? Is it towards personnel, programming?
That's changed. So I'll give you some concrete examples, and then again, please ask questions. So we have clarity. One of the first pieces we talked about was peacemakers, or you've heard violence interrupters. These are people who we want to get on the actual street, who are trained to interrupt violence. And we've had many shootings at bars, but it's just not bars. These young people that we are dealing with, I was just with the mother of the 18-year-old killed on the north side. These are kids. And so when I talk about interruptions, we have to deal with schools, we have to deal with social media. This will give us leverage. The way we like to do it is to look at organizations who I'm already in conversation with to contract and make sure that they have interrupters. So when we're having a large gathering or that we know that there's a party, the interrupters will be on the ground to help to mitigate some violence that can be going on because these things escalate. So that's a huge part of it. We need peacemakers. And so that's a portion of the expansion. The other portion of the expansion is looking at our mental health issues. I must give you this example. Miss Stevens, who just lost her son at the bar on the west side. She went through the whole night, and they took her son from the hospital to the bar, and the only connection she had to somebody was the police department who was doing their job. But at the hospital, no one spoke with this family, and the coroner couldn't see this family. And so there was not an advocate there, one, to help with the trauma, two, to walk this family through that whole night. And so mental health advocates, again, we want to have on call. It's a big partnership. The money that's involved isn't the money that it costs, but it's just our part to get people on the ground to connect to these families. Today, I was just with one of the mothers, and I had to get she and her 5 children mental health counseling today because they're having a very rough time. And so we need these situations happen, because if not, we have family members, and most of our murders right now are retaliation. And so when I talk about interrupters, when I talk about mental health advocates, we have to have these on the grounds, because it's a repetitive cycle. And that's a change. We haven't had that. We haven't had that in Youngstown. And so these types of things are really important. And that's what I like to expand to.
To the chair.
Through the chair.
Julius. Julius first.
Thank you. Guy, I love the focus on mental health and having interrupters on site. My only question would be if I'm an interrupter and I see a situation escalating, and maybe you're not gonna hire people like me, but if I gotta get involved in the situation, what's my protection, and who's liable if I
question.
You know what I mean? So
yes, sir. So remember, an interrupter is really it's a prevention and an intervention. We're not the training. So if you may, can I give you some of the duties, Councilman Oliver, and it'll help you really kind of understand. Okay, so one, what they're doing is they're going to gang. Okay.
Hold on, please.
Yes.
Let's just, before you flow from one person to the other, let's make sure we just slow it down so I can get everybody identified, okay? That's all. I just want to keep everybody identified, slow it down, because
Okay.
you said you said to Julius, you gave him an answer, then you said, let me give you an example, okay? But in between that, okay, I just needed you to take a little pause and make sure there was an intervening question. So
Okay. No,
go ahead.
that's fine.
Proceed.
Yeah, I
Slow
wanted
down.
to just answer
You're
his
on
question.
a roll. I know what it is. You're on a roll. Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
no. Okay, no, I just want to be thorough so we're clear. So one, they're going to gain information on potential hotspots and our conflicts in our hotspot communities. And I know this is being recorded, so I'm not going to go into detail, Julius, but we've had enough conversation. Things that we know are happening. And so these interrupters will be able to get in there and maybe start to mediate before it escalates to the gun violence that we're seeing. So a lot of the interrupters kind of engagement is going to be before. But also we know that in these bars, we know people are coming outside and it's happening, correct? But if an interrupter is there, they're just hanging, they know what's on the outside, and maybe keeping a person away and getting security beforehand can stop the violence. We don't ever want an interrupter to go in harm's way. There is a risk, but we don't want them in harm's way. So they will be trained to interrupt and prevent. That's what we're going after, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk about it some more offline, guy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. Guy, I guess it's along the same lines as Councilman Oliver. Are you looking to subcontract out with a organization that is doing this style of work, whether it's mental health or prevention and intervention work, or are you looking to contract with other people to serve up through the police department?
Guy?
Through the chair. So this one, Samantha, I went through both strategies, and I think for our time, one, we have to get this up running very quickly. There's not a lot of time to waste. So we're going to, I'd rather, if council approves, would contract with organizations who have this type of work in their wheelhouse, and then we will do training and connect them to our community officers and create this network of folks to do it. This is the other reason I want to do this, and just through the chair, is that all of the programs that we do, if you notice, I will set up as individual organizations. Serve is here or not, these things must happen in our community to stay healthy. And so doing it through another organization assures that the work can continue.
Thank you. Just a direct follow-up.
Go ahead, Samantha.
So then if getting this up and running and going with an outside organization, they would then carry the liability insurance on those persons, similar to how Big Brother, Big Sister does with their mentors, correct?
That's correct. Big Brothers is a partner of MBK, and that's how exactly we do it, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Guy, I do have a question. Could your interrupters and the thing that you're talking, the item you were talking about, helping the families the night of and things like that and talking to them, those are two different things. So where do our chaplains fall into this whole scheme of things? Are they being utilized? Our chaplains in our chaplains corps.
So thank you. I do work with chaplains, but that would be more of a chief question than it would be of a serve question. Okay.
But my question to you is, when you're talking about someone there to hold the hands of the individuals, are you present and are you seeing the chaplains there?
Oh yeah, yeah. I absolutely have seen chaplains there when we are there at night. Chief and I were just together. Yes, chaplains are there as well.
Hello?
Okay, you're there now.
Okay. All right, okay. I don't know if you heard my question. Are the chaplains there at night? I just mentioned the individual, the family of the young man who was murdered on the west side. Were our chaplains present at the hospital for those families?
Not in now at the hospital. I can't speak for every time. I know that when I'm there at times chaplains are there, but they're on a schedule as well. So sometimes chaplains may still be with the family that are at the scene, and then other family are in the hospitals. So there's a lot going on. As you know, I don't have to explain that to you, but from my experience, chaplains are there, but can they be in all the spaces? No.
Okay. And so your interrupters would, if the chaplains weren't able to be there, your interrupters and your other folks are there to help the families at the hospital when the chaplains and things aren't around.
Yes, let me be clear that at the hospital, it would be the mental health advocates because we want people that will be familiar with working with trauma.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jen? Jennifer?
Mhm.
I'm gonna log off for a quick minute. Boss should take over. I have to log back in on another phone because this one is winking out on me.
Okay, Basha,
Thank you.
I'm gonna make you co-host then.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, I guess I had my hand up, so that was, I guess, perfect timing. So I have a question. I was asked, and I don't know the answer, so maybe it could be explained to me regarding so much, specifically the structure of SERV. Like, is SERV a city entity that you work for, or are you your own entity? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how is that associated? Like, do you do work for SERV or you are SERV? Do you know what I mean? Like, how does that work?
That's a great question. So I guess the question is, I'm a contracted with the city of Youngstown to direct the SERV initiative that is under the police department. I guess that's the simplest way to explain it. Am I correct, Chief? Can you shake your head? Yeah, okay.
Okay. So SERV is actually the city's entity, but you're contracted to carry out the work of SERV for the city in a sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
And then also, because I don't have the numbers in front of me, because I know this piece of legislation that we have is a request to give additional funding. What was currently budgeted for SERV?
We were, I think, without the approval, I think it was like 83,000,
Okay.
something like that,
And that
from the general budget.
Okay. So that was not CBDG. Did we have CBDG funding this year as well for that, or no?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do my colleagues have any questions? If not, I have another question. Okay. Regarding the programming, do we have, and I know it's hard to sometimes, give specific data on how effective the program is, but do we have any like numbers to show like how, you know what I mean, how effective it is and how it's, been helpful, things like that?
Yeah, so I'll give you call-in data because that's the most critical. These are people who use guns and have actually either been charged or we know that they are in a process of having violent background. We have called in over 500 young men, and over 87% of them have not reoffended. So that's one stat. I'll give you stats from just this last weekend, each weekend. And thank you, Councilman Turner, for being a coach. But we have 200 young people every Sunday that go to the Cavelli Center and play basketball safely throughout the summer, right? We just finished working with the Respect League, where there were, and I don't have all the job numbers, but I know they were in the 20s and 30s where people received jobs and going back to school. And so that's over 15 to 20% of the young men actually took part of the resources that were available, but also all of the young men participated and they were not on the street. So, you know, the numbers don't lie. We understand what the best practice, what we do is best practice stuff. So I don't just pull this stuff from the sky. It's proven to work where it's done. And so the excitement, I'm not excited that we're here because again, I apologize. I'm usually chipper. I'm just not in a good space today because I just dealt with moms who are really struggling out here, you know, and they're burying kids, right? And that's not what the city is. And so I am, it's really important for me to do what I need to do. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And Anita, do you want to go ahead and take over?
Yeah, boss, why don't we give Guy a break and move on to Chief Davis? If no one objects, if that's okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Chief Davis.
Through the chair.
Good afternoon, Chief. And I see Lieutenant Ross in your background there. Thank you. So, Chief, can you give us provide us with an update? What's going on at the police department? How has the rollout been? Let's start off with the body.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Okay. As police chief, I want to assure the public that the Youngstown Police Department will continue to make substantive changes that will make things better even long after I've retired. There are some tangible changes that we are making now. When I came on, one of the first things I wanted to do was to implement the use of body cameras. I wanted to make sure that our officers were trained in de-escalation techniques, and we've done that. And most importantly, I wanted to focus on police / community partnerships, and we're doing that, and we've done that. Now, the body-worn cameras testing began on May the 20th. We currently have 16 cameras deployed out into the field to various different officers on different shifts. The testing is going very well, and we have not encountered any issues so far. The officers seem to really like them, and we have not received any negative feedback from them. We are currently working on applying for a federal grant, which would match pricing at a buy one, get one free rate. And this would also provide funding for some of the cameras only, but not for the storage. We plan on implementing body cameras to every officer before the end of the summer. Now, Councilman Davis, I have 2 videos. If you don't mind, I have Detective Sergeant Jose Morales here. We just demonstrate and show you how the cameras work in low light situations. And I also just want to advise you that this second video shows a large fight that happened downtown at the social nightclub a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, before we roll the video, about what's the length of them?
I don't know, probably maybe about 6 minutes.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely, please roll it. Sergeant Jose Morales, Jr.
How you guys doing?
Well, we're well, thank you.
Good.
Go ahead.
All right, let's see if we can get
Through the
this.
chair.
Julius.
You want to watch the whole 6 minutes?
Well, I'll interrupt him.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
can cut it off early. that's what you guys want, let me,
But there's two videos. I want to see the examples of the two of them.
okay, which one do you want to play first, Chief?
Let's start with your
Downtown?
the
Okay.
downtown one.
Okay.
And is that in low light?
Yes, it is at night.
Okay, that's the one I want to see.
Okay. Your screen.
Sergeant Morales.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Did that play for you guys? Were you guys able to see it?
Yes, that was sufficient. In the other video?
All right, let's see.
Very good sliding.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Julius, you can speak over this.
Thank you, through the chair. I was just gonna ask, the video seems to be, well, I
Pixelated.
don't know how to say it. It's kind of slow and grainy. Is that because of playing it over the internet now, or is that how it's recorded at the time, and is that how it plays back normally?
Jose?
Through the chair, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. It's very clear on our end, so it must just be over the Zoom call.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I just, because for me, for example, the video is clear in terms of the quality, but it looks like it keeps pausing, like there's like a break in it, like it's.
Yeah, see, that's not happening on our end, so I'm thinking that's the connection, because I'm getting the same thing from you guys as well.
Okay, hold on. All righty. Sergeant Morales, you can stop the video. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
That is the way it's going to come over top the over our internet, as opposed to the chief system, which is not the. I know his system is not the fastest, but anyhow, the quality is quite clear. Chief, would you be able to identify individuals from this quality of video?
Absolutely.
Okay. And when the person comes out, when the officer exits the vehicle, is that when the camera comes on?
Yes.
Okay. And has this been both beneficial to both the public and the officers as well?
Yes, it has been. I believe that.
Give an example.
Yeah, well, through the chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe Sergeant Morales is also working on a internal affairs complaint as a result of one of the body cameras at this moment.
And how would the camera come into play? How would the footage?
The camera captured the entire incident.
Oh, okay, thank you. To the members of the committee, any questions about the body camera?
Yes, Chairwoman, question to Chief. You mentioned that when Anita asked that the cameras get turned on when the officers leave the vehicle. What would happen if, for example, if they're doing a special detail and they're stationed just to be, for example, downtown outside, do they keep their cameras on the whole time?
Chief?
Through the chair, yes, the cameras,
Go ahead,
through the chair, the cameras should be on at all times, even when they're working a special detail.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you. Chief, what happens if their cameras aren't rolling? Do they turn them on manually, or is it does it automatically happen when they step out?
So I'll explain that real quick. So while the officers are out, either on the road or on special details, the camera has I'm sorry?
Sergeant Morales, go ahead.
Through the chair, I'm sorry. While the officers are out on the road or on special details, the camera is rolling the entire time. What it's called is a buffer. So it's recording at all times. And when the officer, it's recording at all times, non-audio. It's recording video with no audio. Once the officer activates his camera, it's going to capture the past 30 seconds before that button was pressed with video, no audio. And then we'll start recording audio once the button's activated. So once that officer so we've seen officers pull up to a call, get out of the car, press their camera on, it's grabbing that last 30 seconds of them driving up to the call still. You understand what I'm saying? So it's called the buffer feature. It's grabbing that last 30 seconds of no audio, but it's constantly recording on a loop, deleting itself every 30 seconds.
Great.
And that's
Thank
in
you.
case something happens, and the officer doesn't get to his camera right away, because the last thing you're thinking about when something jumps off real fast is hitting that button. So when they do, it's going to hurry up and grab the last 30 seconds prior to that activation.
Thank you. Does anyone else have questions regarding the body cameras?
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Samantha?
Thank you. Through the chair, in that first video, did the camera come unlodged, or did that what happened? Okay, all right. And so can you just talk about how they're secured to the chest and what happens in that instance?
So we have a variety, through the chair, we have a variety of different mounts right now that they gave us for the trial. Each officer got a variety of different mounts. And right now they're playing with each one of them to see which one works best for them, because everybody's different shapes and sizes. Their vests are all fitting differently. So my favorite one is a magnet mount, what I think is the best one. In that incident, Officer Burton's camera did fall off of his chest. I'm not sure which mount he was using, but I think he's changed it since then.
Right. So, Chief, I'm sorry, Basha, Samantha, did that answer your question?
Thank you. Yes, it did.
Okay, Basha?
Thank you, through the chair. And I apologize if this was already answered. Were the body cameras going to be just for our patrol officers, or would our detectives and other units wear them as well when they're called out, or this is just for patrol?
Right now, through the chair, I'm sorry. Right now for the trial, at least, it's just our patrol unit, and then a few members of our neighborhood response unit have them right now. I mean, my goal would be down the road is for everyone to have a camera, detectives as well.
What's the purpose of the detectives wearing a camera? Hold it.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
What is the purpose of the detectives wearing the body camera while they're interviewing individuals? Like they're in the office, they're in interrogation, are they going to, will their body cameras be rolling?
Depending on what they choose to do and what Captain Foley, the head of the Detective Bureau, ask them to use it for. They can use them on search warrants. They can use them out on knock and talks, whatever they choose to use them for. I just want them to actually have them and have that option if they choose to.
Option if they choose to.
Mhm.
Is this been done in other police departments that they're investigators? They're plainclothes officers, or they wear them?
Yes, I've seen them on plainclothes officers at other agencies, yeah.
What agencies?
Akron at least, and a few others. They just have the ability to use those cameras. If they do choose to go out and do their search warrants and the whatnot, they have the cameras on and they're using them. Sometimes you talk to confidential informants and you don't want them on or don't even want to have them for instances like that, but they do have them in case they go out and do other things that they want on recordings.
So if I have it right, then what you're saying that they would be for the plainclothes officers, for detectives and other investigators, you would purchase them, but it would be their choice.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll discuss this further.
Okay.
You know,
That's my goal. I mean, honestly, you guys are the ones that are gonna have to approve the purchasing of it, but I want everybody to have that ability if they wanted to go out. Obviously, you know, detectives go out on search warrants too, and you know, they arrest suspects, you know, so I want them to have that option, you know. But if you guys feel that they don't, you know, then I mean, but like I said, they wouldn't be required to use them all the time because their job's a little different than from patrol, you know.
I commend your thought process.
Yeah.
But you know, just having them sitting there collecting dust day in and day out. And I'm not being funny, but like the computer laptops that when they first came to the department, they sat there in a closet for several years.
Yeah.
So if these cameras would be purchased and then just sitting there because no officer, no detective, no sergeant wants to put it on, no, that's not a good use of our dollars. But we'll discuss this.
Okay.
You know, we have them and they're the future.
Yes,
They are
ma'am.
here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Sergeant Morales.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Any other questions about the body cameras for the chief or the sergeant before Sergeant Morales boogies?
Yes, Chairwoman, I just have one more question. In terms of like logistics, do we have to add someone to staffing in order to, I guess, you know, go through the video or, you know, from that kind of standpoint? So, or is it going to be like in-house RIT department? Do we have to contract with somebody?
Chief?
Through the chair, that was the role that Detective Sergeant Morales will be used for in the in internal affairs, is to review and go over all the videos from the body cameras. That was his primary responsibility in internal affairs.
And through the chair, right now it's manageable because there's only 16 cameras out. From May 20th to today, I checked today, we actually have 995 videos so far, just with those 16 officers. But right now I'm able to handle it. So we'll see as down the road how much help I'll need though.
Councilwoman Adams, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, thank you. Direct follow-up. Because I know you said something about like it rolls over and it goes like every 30 seconds. But so say, for example, you said we have all of those clips. How long would we actually store them? Would we purge like every couple weeks or like a month? Because sometimes even, you know what I mean? People may not either file a grievance or something until like down the line. So how long are we going to keep these on record?
So there's a retention schedule and that'll actually be in the policy. Your lower incidents where it's not evidentiary, those are usually about 90 days they last. Traffic stops, misdemeanors, tickets, citations, about 2 years. And then you get up to the next level, which is foot pursuits, any physical arrests, any physical detainments. Your more serious stuff is a retention of 5 years. And then homicides and other things like that are permanent.
Oh, that's pretty,
yeah.
That's pretty substantial. Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilman Hughes, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just keeping track. That's about it.
Okay. Okay, going on to, Chief, are there any more updates you had that you want to give us about the community police unit?
Other than that, they've been restored to this full service, and everything seems to be going fine at this time. And we're through the chair, and you and I have had discussions about the cars, and we're still working on that.
Okay, thank you. Just for the record, just for a little background to the other members of the committee and other members of council, Chief Davis and I met, was it Tuesday?
Yes.
At his office with the mayor, the chief, the mayor and I met with the purpose of discussing the latest homicide. It was for that purpose that we met, for no other purpose. But we ended up talking about several other things, including the police vehicles that our members have said that they wanted to see the community police officers have. And I believe Captain Simon, you have Chief assigned that to him, but he's off today.
Yeah, he's off.
And he's also the one we would be conversing with about the shot spotter. So both these items about the vehicles are off today with his absence. A well-deserved vacation day. Wish his wife well. So the next item then, if there are no other questions, is for Lieutenant Ross.
Through the chair.
Yes, Councilman Hughes.
Yeah,
There we call
before
you Chief, Councilman Hughes.
Before you move on, I did want to see if I can ask Chief Davis. When Guy Burney was speaking, he mentioned part of his program was utilizing the community police unit. And he was speaking, it seems like to me, it seemed like it was like an involved process, of use. I'm trying to get a clarification as to how much of the community police is going to be working with CERT or Guy Burney's unit is what I'm trying to get. If the chief can respond to that a little bit.
Through the chair.
Chief Davis.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah. What I think Guy Burney was probably alluding to was recently we just had the Juneteenth celebration downtown here, which was a huge community event. The community police were present there, able to mingle and interact with the community. Also, we recently had our March for Jesus, which was a very successful celebration downtown here. The community police officers were also present for that event. So I think that's what he was speaking to, like some of those type of events that community police would be involved in.
Can we agree or can we also get involved with having the council's involvement into when we're going to lose that community police officer for our particular ward, and not necessarily for these or for some extended type programs? I don't know. I'm excited about having the community police officer for the second ward, but I don't know how much I should be excited if I'm not going to have them, in the second ward. That's all I'm saying.
Through the chair. Matt.
Chief Davis, if you could, who's speaking, please?
This is Guy Burney.
Guy?
Yes.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Before you go forward, Guy, the councilman had directed this question to the chief of police in reference to his concern about us losing our community officer in general. So Chief Davis, could you address that specific part to Councilman Hughes? Are we going to have our community police officers permanently?
Through the chair?
Yes.
Yes, you will have that community police officer permanently, but I just don't see anything wrong with a community police officer being available at a community event, because that's what they are. They are community police officers. So having them for a couple of hours, a few hours at a community event, I don't think is something unreasonable.
Councilman?
I understand what he's saying, and I agree with him 100%. He uses the word couple, and he used the word few, you know, and that was all I'm trying to get a clarification for. Is a couple and a few, you know, that's what we're talking about, or is it something else?
Okay, I don't think he's Jimmy, am I wrong? You're concerned about him redeploying our community police officers on a more permanent basis. Okay, so Chief, we're not, the concern is, are they going to be redeployed on a permanent basis or just utilized, as you said, for special events, parades, and community gatherings, correct?
Through the chair,
Chief?
Through the chair, that is absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief. And Mr. Bernie, if you please.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Through the chair, I want to bring a little bit more clarification. Community police travel, they do more than that with me. And so I want to be clear because I don't want any issues. When we are in your wards and we're sitting down with kids and families, community police oftentimes escort me to those places so that we can do work. There is times when Basha or you, Councilman Davis, may lose because I'll have community officers with us at Ellie Black's for a funeral in Councilman Hughes's ward. Because if we do not, there's a chance that there is a safety issue. So there are times that when we know that there's hot spots in the community police work with us very handily. And I'll tell you, Councilman Hughes, a lot of the times it is on the east side because a lot of funerals are over there. And so just saying, when I work with them, we work with the community officers in your ward because that's where those issues are.
Thank you. Councilman Hughes, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers my question. I don't know if it's to satisfaction, but I do have an answer. It is something that I think I need to talk with the chief further with, you know, and if it's permissible, if the chief is willing, I do like to talk to him outside of this meeting.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Thank you, ladies, gentlemen. Did anyone else have a question for the chief about the updates before we go on to Lieutenant Ross?
Yes, Chairwoman, I do have a question regarding community police, and perhaps we can continue discussion specifically about community police in another meeting. I just want to make sure, and I've stated my concern to both Chief and Sergeant Patton regarding the community policing program, and to have specific guidelines and, you know, and a layout of what the program is going to entail, what it's going to look like, what is expected. Because I think oftentimes our community police are, for lack of better words, overutilized because they're also serving as now code enforcement officers. Sometimes those lines are blurred of what is community police versus what is, you know, zoning and code enforcement, although we all have to, you know, work together to solve issues. But sometimes I feel they have an overabundance of things that are coming at them. So I would like to have, you know, just a criterion specific program laid out.
They are police officers, but and I have a thing about police officers that sometimes, no, too often, I believe that we utilize our for everything. They're two because we have our office.
Thanks, man.
Things that, so they may be under another title, but because the officers are there, we utilize them for almost everything, and we use our community officers that way as well. And I agree with you, Councilwoman Adams, absolutely. They are overworked. Councilman Hughes.
I don't know if I have raised my hand, but through the chair,
You popped up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All I'm saying is my point of the community police and dividing them up to each ward is for us to get the benefit from it. It makes no difference if you're going to keep it the same. They could have stayed where they were at, if we can't get the lion's share, of what's going on. And I understand that Guy Burney, and I keep forgetting his title, but Guy Burney is relying on them, for what, a significant part of his program, but we're also relying on them for a significant part of our program and the reduction of crime and community relations, and increasing community relations. And I think it's an excellent idea for us to get on track, like we are, like Barsha is mentioning, as to what we do, we expect for them to do and what their criteria is. So something in writing and something more directed, and I would love to see. I do agree with her, and I think that that's what's needed mostly, because the last group that we had before him, they was doing 2 or 3 different places. They was downtown at noon every time for doing this. They had, they had like 6 hours of the day. They had to be someplace else. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Another meeting, maybe discuss it further.
Another meeting, and also perhaps we can meet with the chief individually, or in the chief in another setting, and work out some of these details. Thank you. Anything else for the chief before we move on to Lieutenant Ross? Chime up.
Through the chair.
Okay. Yes, Councilwoman Turner.
Thank you. My question is for the chief, and I'm sorry I was gonna wait till the end, but I just had the question in regards to speeding. I want to request, and I don't know if anyone else is getting the same calls. Okay,
I'm sorry.
I'll wait.
Did you say speeding?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
So,
yep. Speeding. Hold on. Okay. Lieutenant Ross, I want you to go and talk to us about these speed cameras in the school zones.
Through the chair, Councilwoman.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Safety Committee. Blue Line Solutions has sent us a copy of a contract here that they proposed. I did discuss it at some point earlier with Attorney Limbian. I think he was on here.
Yes.
He had a few misgivings that I did speak to Blue Line Solutions about on it. I don't know if those were answered to Attorney Limbian's satisfaction or not. By and large, it is pretty much similar to the opto traffic agreement that we operated under before. It is a little bit different type of speed enforcement that we're doing this time than what we did do with opto traffic in the previous years. Mostly, this is school zone enforcement, unmanned. They're poles that have cameras on them, and they automatically operate within the set parameters that the city and Blue Line will have together. There are a few differences in their contract here. I'll just go over them with you if that's okay, Councilwoman. And then
can you do it in 2 minutes?
I will do my best.
Thank you, Bill. All righty, go ahead.
Okay, first off, we're locked into this agreement for 1 year that we can't get out of. We didn't have that with Blue Line, or I'm sorry, with opto traffic. And this is even with the 30-day out. We're still locked into the agreement for 1 year. After that, we start to be able to take the 30-day out. After that, they have a 3-year we have to give them a right of first refusal after the 2 years of the initial contract. If we choose to go with another company or somebody else wants to offer us a better deal, we have to advise Blue Line Solutions of that. And that's for a period of 3 years after the 2-year contract. The part that caused Attorney Limbian the biggest concern here was Section 6. And that basically says that the city shall pay Blue Line Solutions for all equipment, services, and maintenance based on this fee schedule that they give us in Exhibit C. Exhibit C tells me that these cameras, that the city's going to pay 24 equal monthly installments. And these cameras are valued at $75,000 a piece. And they're estimating they're going to put 26 up within the various school zones in the city, according to that traffic study that we had discussed on an earlier Zoom conference. That comes out to $1.9 million that the city is potentially on the hook for. Now, I did talk to Blue Line Solutions and their lawyer. They're telling me that they're going to pay that 1.9 million in 24 equal installments out of their 35% cut that they get. The reason that is in here, they said, is for an early termination penalty on the city. If we go to leave early for whatever reason, then we're on the hook for a prorated version of $1.9 million. That did cause Attorney Limbian a bit of concern. I don't know if that answer has been answered to his satisfaction. He'll have to answer to that that part on it. The other thing that they did change was if any of this equipment gets damaged intentionally, we have to pay for it. We did have a problem with the cameras. One of our officers, who is no longer with the department, was abusing and damaging the equipment. Under opto traffic, we didn't pay for that. They would just send us the new parts or take the gear in that needed fixed and return it. There was no cost to the city on it. But under this contract, they do have a clause in here where if it's intentional damage, that the city would have to pay for it. Now, I don't know whether they consider somebody shooting one of these cameras up, taking a pipe or ball bat or something to it to be part of the damage we have to repair or not. But certainly a question to ask down the road before we actually enter into a contract.
Correct.
I think I took about 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lieutenant Ross. Thank you, Lieutenant Ross. And I'm sure that we're still in the negotiation stage. Right. And that Attorney Limbian is going to be looking out for the city's interest. And this was just an update and nothing more. This is not a commitment to anything.
Okay. I
too have a question as to, first off, I've put it in writing if they're going to, about this $1.9 million that we would be obligated to, and a clarification as to intentionally damaged, because vandalism is intentional. And is it intentional by our department or intentional by the public? You know, so I would want to have that clarified and have the attorney, our attorney, look it over and make sure that everything is covered. And Lieutenant Ross has the attorney, is Attorney Limbian here?
Through the chair, he was earlier. I don't see him on my screen here.
Okay, that's okay. Does anyone else have questions for Lieutenant Ross about these cameras? I'm sure you do. No one? Okay. All righty, Lieutenant Ross.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
I was making sure you was on your toes, that's all. But my question is, I'm sorry if I missed it or not, but are the cameras going in designated locations? Have we chosen those spots already, or is that yet to be discussed?
Through the chair, Councilman, all of the areas that potentially they will go in were as a result of that speed study that we had issued on the last Zoom meeting I attended. There are various schools in almost every ward. Obviously, they will start on the ones that have the highest numbers first, but their plan would be by somewhere into August or middle of September to have most of this infrastructure in place on all of the school zones mentioned, except Paul C. Bunn, of course, it's not in the city.
Councilman, did that answer your question? Councilman Oliver? Julius? Okay. Is there anything else any other questions for Lieutenant Ross? Hearing none. Basha, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, Chairwoman.
Okay, I didn't know if I had gone silent or not because they were so quiet on that end. We have an action that we need to dealing with ordinance 21-186 and 21-190. Councilman Hughes. From the committee, what is your pleasure?
And I'm sorry, Councilwoman, are we going to go back to Mr. Burney for any additional questions, or was the committee prepared?
We can go. Okay, we can go back if you have questions more for Guy. Guy, are you okay now? Guy?
I'm here.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Burney? Going. Okay. If there are no other questions for Mr. Burney, is there any action we want to take starting with ordinance 21-186? What is the pleasure of this committee? Are we going to keep it here? Are we tabling it? Are we going to take it to the council? If we're going to take it to council, I need a motion.
Through the chair, and Anita, this is Jennifer. It looks like Basha dropped off the meeting. She was frozen and she dropped off. And I don't know if we have Jimmy with us. We only have his name up. So perhaps we have to invite her back in, get her back in to get your motion complete.
Okay, let me give her a call, see if I can reach her by a phone.
Okay.
I'm going to mute myself for 1 minute.
After I told him what,
This 5G stuff ain't working out for everybody, I guess.
Okay, she's trying to get on now. Jennifer, if you can look for her.
Yeah, it's just, it's like, it just.
I am looking. It looks like Councilman Hughes is back on. Councilman Hughes,
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
perhaps he could make the motion unless Councilwoman Adams can get back on. I don't see her trying to get in on my end.
Is this the motion for the first ordinance?
Yes, Jimmy, I need a motion for ordinance 21-186.
That Guy Bernie's?
Yes, 21-186 is for the advertisement for the professional services. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion that we forward that to the full body for passage.
Second. And on ordinance 21-190, increasing the appropriations by $114,000 to the police project reserve fund. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion that we forward that as well to the council for passage.
Thank you. Second. Before we adjourn, Councilwoman Turner, you had a question about for the chief?
Yeah, it was just about increasing patrols in the neighborhoods. I don't know about any of my colleagues, but I've been getting a lot of calls about speeding down the streets and how we can get the patrolmen that are in our neighborhoods to stop those speeding cars. And then also, if you could give us a quick update on I believe there was a task force formed around ATVs and dirt bikes, and if that is operating, how's that going?
I don't believe that's a part of our agenda, though.
That's just general question. That's fine.
Very brief, Chief, as a part of the update of the police department, can you give us an update about the neighborhood response unit? Chief Davis.
Okay, through the chair.
Go ahead.
The neighborhood response unit is doing an excellent job out there every day. These officers have removed, matter of fact, I met with Governor DeWine last week, and very proud of these young men who go out there every day. They've removed over 60 guns off the street in a 1 month period. And that's pretty, that's pretty good, for that amount of time. These young officers do a great job.
And have the number of arrests that have been made? Do you have those figures?
I don't have those figures in front of me, but there have been numerous arrests also.
Can you get that data and provide it to us in an email?
Yes, I can.
Councilwoman Turner, is that the kind of information that you were seeking?
Yes, that would help as well. Thank you.
Okay. And Chief, trying to figure out if I can work this in under the speeding and the speed cameras. I think that's something that Councilwoman Turner can address to you offline. Okay. So if you would reach out to Councilwoman Turner and address her neighborhood, her residential speeding concern. Is that correct, Samantha?
Yes, I just did that. Thank you.
Okay, great. There's nothing on the agenda. Our next scheduled meeting is Thursday. Before I adjourn, we have seen 15 homicides in our city. We had last time, June 2020, we had 15 were on lockdown. This is June 25th. Homicides. I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I'm going to say this right here, but Black lives have to matter to us as well. This is our community, this is our Youngstown, this is our home. I watched yesterday, I went down to the rally that was down at the Old Bottom Dollar. Nice turnout. What I noticed is that they were all like me. So many of them, gray hairs. And this is not about the police department not doing their job. The last homicide, there was an officer working at the scene. He'd just gone inside the bar. And then minutes later, another life was snuffed out. We have got to do better. I sincerely hope that Guy Burney is successful. Guy Burney and the entire effort that we are putting out there is successful, that we can turn this around and not have a repeat of the 1990s, the 1980s. That's my greatest fear. I just had to say that. I just can't let this meeting go by and not say and acknowledge the fact that we're losing our young people. You know, they're just dropping. And it's going to take all of us working together. And it's going to take more than the gray hairs. It's going to take those whose hair aren't gray. They have to do that work, because gray hair can't talk to young people. It takes their peers. So Guy Burney, thank you for what you're trying to do. I wish you the best of luck. Anyone else have anything to say?
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Councilman Hughes.
I agree with you and your remarks in particular. I would just like to add, if you give the community police a chance, I think they will make a difference as well. And not just a relief to supplement someplace else. Allow the community police to do the jobs within the community, and hopefully, I think you're going to see that it is a crime reduction unit. It is it's more than just a feel good for the people who's working. That pretty much is all I want to say. Add the community police to your list of things that will make a difference. I believe they will.
You and I will not differ on that. We both know. So our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, July 22nd, 2021. And at this time, if there's nothing else,
Chair,
Councilman Hughes.
I move that we adjourn.
Second, we are adjourned.